Welcome back. Okay, so it's time for something completely different. What is a module? What is a module in Drupal and what does it do? Okay, this is where things start to get really exciting. A module, and we're going to click on the module link over here. We haven't even looked at this yet. The module is something that adds extra functionality to your website. Okay, and modules, and sometimes if you're used to WordPress, you might be more familiar with plugins, okay? In Drupal, we just call them modules instead. Modules come in sort of two different flavors for Drupal, okay? You've got what's called core modules, and there they are right here. These are all the core modules right here. And by the way, when you're navigating through here, you can actually click this open and close like that. That just makes it a lot easier when you start adding extra modules to just kind of be able to collapse this list here, because this list doesn't change, okay? These core modules, these are the basic modules that come bundled with any official release of Drupal. So when you install Drupal, okay, just a fresh Drupal site, Drupal comes packaged with all these what's called core modules, okay? They're built into the official release of Drupal. And some of them are turned on by default and some of them are turned off. And you can actually enable them, like that's basically called enable or disable. And you can see which ones here are currently enabled. We see that the aggregator core module that comes packaged with Drupal, okay, it's not enabled right now. But if I wanted to enable, it'd be really simple. I would just click enable and I'd scroll down to the bottom and click save configuration. I'm not going to bother doing that right now. We get a sense of what it is that this particular module does simply by reading the description. We see here that the aggregator aggregates syndicated content. Okay, what does that mean? Let's not worry too much about that. As you become more familiar with Drupal, you'll start to understand what all these different core modules do. But here's an example of a module we are familiar with, this block module. Okay, if we read it, it says blocks control the visual building blocks a page is constructed with. Blocks are boxes of content rendered into an area or region of a web page. Yeah, we've been using blocks. That's basically under structure. Yeah, a block is actually what we consider a core module. We could, if we actually, disabled it, we could, in a sense, take out the whole block functionality from Drupal. It's such a core piece of Drupal, though, that by default it's turned on. And in fact, you'll see here, the reason that this is shaded right here and that I can't actually disable this is simply because this module is actually is required by another module that's currently enabled. So you have these dependencies between modules, okay? Here's an example. If we look at color, here's an example of a core module that we could disable because there's nothing that depends on this. But the color module basically allows you to change the color scheme of various themes. We haven't talked about doing that yet, but we'll see it in a few screencasts how we go about changing the color scheme. That's currently turned on and that's fine. We'll leave that on. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you'll see that there's a whole bunch of different modules here. These are all part of the core Drupal module set. These are all core modules, okay? Now, what if, and you can actually add a whole bunch of extra features. Here's polls. If you wanted to add polls to your website, you could enable the poll module, and this would allow you to have polls on your website. So pretty cool. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with stuff that's already built into Drupal. Now, what if you need to do something and it's not built in? There's no core module that allows you to do that. Well, fortunately, we have what's called contributed modules, or sometimes you'll hear people call them a contrib module, just because I guess it's faster to say and we're lazy. Basically, you can download and install additional contributed modules that extend and customize Drupal's functionality. And you might be thinking, that sounds great. Show me how to do this. Well, first of all, you need to figure out, where do you find these contributed modules? And this is where we have to go to the Drupal site, okay? Specifically, we go to the part of the Drupal site, the official Drupal site, drupal.org/project/modules. And this gives you a catalog of, look at this, currently over 23,000 modules that are all contrib modules that are available for you. And you might think, oh my gosh, how do I go about sorting through and figuring out which module I want to install? Well, we'll talk about that in the next screencast. But for now, make sure it's a good idea to have this either memorized or just make a bookmark or something, because you're going to be going back to this over and over and over again. And and the way that we go ahead and install it, well, we'll search through this to figure this out, but we'll be using, okay, the ability to install new things right through here. And so I'll show you how to do that in the next screencast. But for now, make sure that you know how to get here, okay? And we'll talk about choosing modules in the next screencast. Okay? Thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.